G'day fellas and welcome to an Age of Empires 4 video where we take a look at the Macedonians, technically known as the Macedonian Dynasty. Today, we're going to be looking at the Byzantine variant that is arriving in dynasties of the East. The three words used to describe them: Varangians, silver, technology. So in this video, we're going to be going over this little extract that you can see here. We're going to dive into their tech tree, and then we're going to take a look at their unique units, or just their units in general, how they operate, and why I actually think this civilization is probably going to be the best civ of the new 4 by far when it comes to actual power. I think this civ is going to be overpowered. I think they're going to be busted. Anyway, let's get into it. So, villagers extract silver from gold and stone to research unique technologies. You generate silver passively on mining camps and town centers with influence of Varangian arsenals. Now, keep in mind, all of this stuff I will be explaining in depth as to how it actually works a little bit later on in the video. So at the moment, obviously, there's no numbers, so you don't really know how big this stuff is, but I can assure you right now it's insane. Exceed 3 tiers of technology with Varangian arsenal by spending silver. Access to early Varangian guards in the Feudal Age. Produce all unique Varangian units from the Varangian stronghold. Varangian units have unique abilities to improve their combat effectiveness and reinforce warriors that fall in battle for free with the Varangian Warcamp. Field units capable of using various forms of Greek fire, and transport ships temporarily increase the move speed of units when unloading. As you can see, there's really not a lot of similarities between this civ and the Byzantines. There is realistically like 2 things that are the same: transport ships and the Greek fire. That's it. There's literally nothing else the same. If you look at the Byzantines, it's olive oil, it's cisterns, it's mercenaries from the mercenary house. That's it. So anyway, let's get into it and take a look at this civilization. Now, I'm not going to be reading through over on this left-hand side, but if you'd like to, I'm encouraging you to go ahead and pause the game. There is some pretty important information. So as an example right here, villagers discover abundant galena deposits among gold veins and stone outcroppings and extract silver as a unique resource when mining from them. Villagers extract silver equal to 40% of gold or stone mined. So if you've got a 4,000 gold vein in your base, that will give you 1,600 silver. So there you go. And then from there, I know we said that we weren't going to be talking about it, but anyway, Varangian arsenals generate influence for mining camps and town centers to begin processing silver over time. The amount of silver processed is based off the total amount of silver deposited by villagers. So if you deposit 4,000 or if you deposit 4,000 gold into a mining camp and then there's 1,600 silver that comes out of that, the influence will be, or the amount of silver that you get over a period of time, or over a minute, is dependent on that 1,600 number. So if you had like, if you had an 8k, you'd obviously be getting a lot more, and it's a pretty big number as well. So anyway, look, let's get into it. We'll talk more about those mechanics a little bit later on. Let's focus on the tech tree and see what we've got here. Town center, it's all pretty standard stuff. House, we've got border settlements that has carried across. Our mill, there's nothing in here that's special. Our lumber camp is exactly the same. Our mining camp, it's exactly the same. I will just say with regard to this, I have tested cupellation because it gives you 15% more resources. Doesn't affect this at all. So for whatever reason, they've just made it so cupellation. So if you're thinking I'm going to fast Imperial and get cupellation here, and maybe that'll allow me to drop off more gold, which then therefore gives me more silver, which therefore gives me more silver minting, doesn't work. I tried it. Then we've got the Varangian stronghold. Now this is your barracks replacement for the Varangians. It's more expensive. It's 200 wood. However, it does give you access to all of their unique units. And the great thing about having unique units that is just like the unique archer, and it's just an archer that's just got a new name, or a knight that's just got a new name. I mean, there's some subtle differences, don't get me wrong, but you get the idea. You can build everything from the same building, so it's quite nice in that regard. You also get a unique upgrade for it called Stronghold Defensive Arrow, which gives you extra damage. Well, not extra damage, it just gives you damage. So kind of think of a blockhouse from Age of Empires 3, the Russians. Very similar in that it's an outpost that is doubling as that production building. Let's move on to our next thing. We've got the Varangian Warcamp that is available in the first stage as well. So it increases your maximum population. I haven't actually tested it, so I don't really know when what it does. This allows you, so you can see we've got a whole bunch of units in here. You can choose to have your reinforcements come through. So basically, they have this mechanic. I don't think it's explained, or at least it's probably explained somewhere in here. Warcamp. So you have, as your units die on the field, after you've lost, let's say, 6 archers, then 1 archer will be reborn. It will respawn at this camp, and you can choose what you want, and you need to lose 6 times the equivalent of whatever unit you want. So here we want a Radari. We need to lose 240 times 6. worth of units. And then you can, of course, choose to have ships. And then there's an upgrade. Each Varangian unit that is present for the destruction of a landmark or town center will award the player with a boon of silver. It's 20 silver per unit. So if you've got 50 units, that is 1,000 silver. That's a landmark or a town center. So and now I will just say I did find it bugged out on me a couple of times. So just beware. I don't think it always works. So I think it'll be something that probably gets fixed up pretty soon. But it's town that worked on the town centers. It just wasn't on the. I was playing against the Malians. It didn't work against one of their landmarks. But yeah, so it's a lot of gold, right? If you're getting on the aggressive here and you're taking out town centers, if you're taking down a landmark, this is pretty big. So definitely quite nice. Now we've got the dock here as well. All the standard stuff that you would expect to see. One key thing to note here is that we do have the Dramon here. We've also got access to the heavy Dramon, which upgrades all Dramons to leave Greek fire on the surface or ground where they attack. And man, the sails cooldown is also reduced to 20 seconds, which is very nice. You've also got liquid explosives. Incendiary ships deal full damage to all enemies in their explosive radius. So if we think about the incendiary ship, the damage fall off is quite significant. So now they're getting rid of that. And then you can combo that with explosives, which increases the damage even further. So it is just, look, I could see a lot of explosions happening with this civilization, that is for sure. We got the Palisade Gate, the outpost with nothing that you wouldn't expect a Byzantine-themed civilization to have, the Macedonian placement, of course. And now we take a look at the changes that they've made to the two landmarks. Now, one of these will probably stand out to you. The other one, maybe not as much. They're both arguably pretty good. Grand Winery acts as a mill and a monastery. Villagers gather food 30% faster when affected by its aura. Relics Garrison generates silver instead of gold. If we take a look at the upgrades, as you can see, it acts as a mill. It's got all the mill upgrades. And then we've got the Monk available here as well with our Monk upgrades. And then we've got the Hippodrome. Acts as a stable. Champions emerge from the trials of the Imperial Hippodrome until each one spawns. Champions provide auras that increase damage to torches, enhance damage of cavalry, and inspire infantry to move faster. So, there are 3 champions that you get. So, of course, you can already build like the Scout, the Horseman, and the Radari. But then you've got the Hippodrome Scout, the Hippodrome Horseman, and the Hippodrome Radari. Now, from the times that I built this, they've always come out in the same order, and it is that order. So you don't get to, it's not random, like you just randomly get a Radari as the first one. No, it always seems to be Scout, then it's the Horseman, then it's the Radari. And it takes time. So I think the first one comes out after 60 seconds, the second one comes out after like 90 seconds, and the third one comes out after 2 minutes. And that's like subsequently. That's not like 90 then one, or 90 then another 30 seconds and you get your next one. It takes a long time. And we'll talk about the stats of these individual units as well. And of course, once they die, you'll need to rebuild them. But they do give those bonuses, as we mentioned. So you get the enhancement of torch damage. I think it's 35% on the Scout. Enhanced damage of cavalry, the Horseman. I think it just gives a plus flat bonus. And then infantry to move faster, an extra 15% for the Radari. So quite nice for that extra movement speed. So that is it for our Dark Age. So for me already, I'm seeing like a really good synergy that's going on here, which is the Grand Winery. And if we take a look at like the key difference here between this and the Byzantines, like the Grand Winery is affecting villagers that gather olive oil from berries. That's it, right? The key difference here is this is affecting all food, which really makes me think, okay, so hold on, you're giving me a landmark that I can research professional scouts out of, and then you're telling me that I'm able to bring those deer back and then gather them 30% faster, and then I can, after that, research survival techniques for an extra 15%. Like, oh, okay. I see what's going to happen with this civilization. Don't worry. I would be surprised if we see the Hippodrome come out too often. This seems incredible. Now, there's further, like, we'll talk more about their synergies, but I really think this civ's going to be absolutely cracked, because we'll talk about sort of the playstyle a little bit later on in the video. Let's get into Age 2. You got the town center. We've already talked about that. We've got the market, the traders available, the Varangian arsenal. So it houses advanced technology for the Macedonian dynasty, and this is part of where, like, the whole mindset of this civilization is just incredible. I really like it. So first and foremost, we're not going to talk about Runus Blinding or Rompia just yet. So we have got a whole bunch of techs, and you can see that they're just in here and they're just like one tier at the moment. They've all got those 6 tiers in there, and they all do different things. So the first one is increasing the damage of all melee infantry. So it's not increasing well, yeah, I guess all melee infantry. It's not increasing melee damage, it's melee damage of infantry. Here we've got melee armor of infantry and health by 5%. That's kind of nice. Then we've got range damage on all arrows and bolts by 1. Then we've got increases the armor of all range units by 1 and health by 5%. Then we've got the cavalry upgrades, increases the damage of all cavalry by 1. Scale barding, increase the armor and cavalry by 1, or increases the armor of all cavalry by 1 and health by 5%. Then we've got iron fittings, increases the health of all siege units by 5%. Fortifications, increases the health of all buildings by 10%. There are 6 upgrades for each of these, which means that you can have 6 plus 6 armor on your ranged units if you wanted to. For some reason, you probably wouldn't. I mean, maybe if you're at super endgame, but this one excites me greatly. To be able to have 6 armor plus 6 armor on melee infantry, that is incredible. That is absolutely amazing. So you get access to 2 of them in the Feudal Age, 2 of them in the Castle Age, and the 2 final ones become available in the Imperial Age. And the cost does increasingly go up. So one thing to note is you're probably going to be balancing that out, right? Like, so you might get 1 or the first 2 levels of everything, okay? And then you're really going to try and focus in on one specific thing. I suspect that's probably how it's going to go. So, yes, those are very cool upgrades. To me, this is the highlight of the civilization. And we'll talk more about the synergies that go on here. But I will just tell you right now, I can see a real good synergy. Whenever you've got high armor, ideally you want to have healing units, because a healing unit heals health. But when you're damaged and you've got high armor, you're only taking a very little bit of damage. So if you can build a lot of units that heal and at the same time have that high armor, it basically means that your units get very difficult to kill. So my thinking here is probably going to be Grand Winery, opening up with maybe some professional scouts, maybe putting down our Varangian stronghold, getting out a couple of early Varangian guards, and then looking to really focus up, build our gold up. And of course, as we build up our gold, we're going to be gathering silver at the same time, and then we can look to get our upgrades through here. And then eventually, when we do get to the Castle Age, the Grand Winery is going to be doubling as our monastery, where we can get our monk, we can get our herbal medicine, and we can start spamming. And of course, it's going to be great. Anyway, Ruinous Blinding. So we have got Varangian arsenals craft more lethal arrows, causing units hit by Bogmoa. I'm obviously going to be destroying all of these names, so apologies. To have their damage reduced by 20% for 5 seconds. So if your archer, and that's just the basic archer, by the way. If your basic archer is just attacking a unit, that's going to reduce the damage by 20%. Doesn't seem like a lot because, well, it's a huge amount. If we were to think about like a knight, right, and a knight is doing, say, 24 damage, now all of a sudden it's only doing 20 damage or 19 damage, and then it's going to be reducing the charge, and then this attack is going to be constantly going out. So you really want to have these guys spread out. You want to be moving them, but a very nice upgrade, an expensive upgrade, but a very nice one. And then we've got Rompaya for 1,000 silver. Varangian guards and Radari equip a powerful Rompaya sword, increasing light infantry damage of Varangian guards by 3 and the damage of Radari by 3. So they were very specific there. They're only increasing the damage for Varangian guards against light infantry, so your spears. That's going to be its main focus. So 1,000 silver for that. So that is everything there is to know about the Varangian arsenal. Now, with the Varangian arsenal, we'll talk about this later, but you want to be placing these next to your mining camps. Must be going next to your mining camps, or if you put a town center next to a mine as well, then you want to be building the Varangian arsenal immediately next to it. Must be next to it. And that means that you'll have 7, 8, 9 of these in a game, but very important to do that. And we'll get into those mechanics a little bit later. Archery range, we've got the standard archer, we've got the crossbowman, we've got the hand cannoneer. I don't actually know what the key difference is here with this unit, so we'll have to double check and see what the stat differences might be between this and the base archer. I suspect there is going to be some, though. Then we've got the stable. So we've got ourselves the scout, the horseman, and the Radari, which is just your standard knight, but it's also got the ability to throw axes, which is pretty cool. I like that. Okay, so we've talked about these Age 2 things. Let's talk about going to Age 3. You've got access to 2 landmarks, excuse me, Age of Empires 3. 2 landmarks. The first, well, you'll be familiar with both of them, but they do different things, both of them. So we've got the system of the first hill, which has a charge system. So charge is an ability used for boosting the work rate of military and research buildings. If used on a mining camp, lumber camp, or farm, begin earning 160 gold, wood, or food over 60 seconds. And it holds 9 charges. So I don't know if the that's something that we need to test. I don't know if you put the if you use this on a mining camp that is in the influence of the of the Varangian arsenal. I don't know if that's going to increase the amount of silver that it will generate. So I'll have to check that later. But I have been enjoying this a lot. System of the First Hill, very cool. You just age up and just immediately dump it into all of your mining camps, and you just get a whole bunch of gold coming straight through. So that's quite nice. It's also really good. It's like the supervision ability of the Chinese and your Imperial official there. So it just allows you to really focus on something specific. You want to get your upgrades, boom, 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 done. Everything's upgraded really quickly. So that's very nice to be able to do that. Then we've got something a bit more interesting, the Golden Horn Tower, and they've definitely emphasized the horn here. Defensive building, equipped with crossbow emplacements and large line of sight. Generates batches of crossbowmen for free over time. Detects units in stealth or disguises. So think of it kind of like a pseudo keep in a way, almost like a Chinese keep in the way that it shoots. And it's got the crossbow emplacement specifically. If we take a look at what it's just got the crossbowman, the elite crossbowman inside. So a very interesting military wonder. I do like the concept. I just don't know if it's ever really going to be like the system of the First Hill is really cool. I like this a lot. It's such a great design. So I think the flexibility of this is going to be great when you remember to use it, because it's going to be one of those things that you forget about, and then you're like, oh my god, I've got 9 charges of this bad boy. How long has this been idle for? Whereas the Golden Horn Tower, it's just going to be printing out crossbowmen, and crossbowmen are those kind of units where it's just like you can always have more crossbows, bro. Like hey, you're going to give me 3 crossbows every minute? I'll take them. That is lovely. We'll check on what those numbers actually are. We've got the keep with the mangonel emplacement, boiling oil cannon emplacement. We've got the monastery with all your standard upgrades, the siege workshop with one very interesting upgrade, I will say right now. Actually, there's a couple in there. So, of course, you'll be familiar with Greek fire projectiles from the Byzantines, and we've also got prolonged siege. Siege units for 1,000 silver. Siege units will... Does that cost silver? No, it doesn't. Siege units will deal 10% additional damage for every 10 seconds that they are set up, to a maximum of 50%. So if you've got them set up for 50 seconds, they will deal 50% more damage. Can you imagine pushing into a prolonged siege? Like, okay, you're pushing into a Macedonian base. They've got 6 mangonels. The mangonels have got adjustable crossbars and prolonged siege. They've been set up for at least 10 minutes. Bro, I'm not going near that. I am not going near that. We're going to need a bigger boat. That is not going to be happening. Wow. Okay, but let's talk about the next one. Roman fire. Yeah, let's talk about this. Springalds gain 15% attack speed. So we've already got attack speed coming in here from our roller shutter triggers. So we're now to 40% attack speed. Lovely. And they engulf their projectiles with fire, creating a patch of Greek fire after impact. Oh, yeah. And it's cheap. It's only 500 silver. Absolutely, we will take that. It is a beautiful. It's so cool. It's very nice. Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to show you this Roman fire. It's good fun. Now, finally, we talk about the Imperial Age. Heading to Imperial Age, you've got 2 landmarks that you will be familiar with: the Foreign Engineering Company and the Palatine School. They both do very similar things to each other now. They obviously they're quite different from the Byzantine version. Let's take a look and see what they do. Foreign Engineering Company allows the production of nest of bees, hui hui pow, and royal cannons for silver. Okay, that seems very, very similar. So it's all the same prices that we would expect. And the Palatine School is elite cataphracts. Can be rapidly produced in batches at this landmark for silver. Now, how long does it normally take to train a cataphract? I want to say like 40 seconds. Can we just get a quick cataphract check right here? Cataphract 40 on the money, Drongo, mate. How do you do it? How do you fit it all in a head so small? So 40 seconds. Okay, so the Palatine School trains them in batches of 3. It says 40 seconds here, but I'm trying to work out why it was training them for me in 20 seconds. Was it because was there something boosting it up? There must have been something boosting it up, but we probably had the upgrade from We'll have to work that out. It was building them with me a set of 3. Maybe it's just written here wrong. So it was a set of 3 for 750, and they only took 20 seconds. That was it. So it was the equivalent of having 6 stables pumping out cataphracts. And you got to remember, right, that there becomes a point in the game where you could technically spend more on upgrades. right? Like, the amount that you can spend on these upgrades is ridiculous. I'm not kidding you. I think if you had 100,000 silver, you still probably couldn't get all the upgrades. There's that many to get. But there becomes a point in the game where you're like, okay, I don't need any more upgrades. We're happy with the upgrades that we've got. Let's just start making cataphracts. Bro, imagine 6 stables of cataphracts just coming in for free. Because I'm telling you right now, you're going to feel like these cataphracts are coming in for free. You will have that much silver. That's what we're talking about here. Anyway, let's get into it. That's the tech tree. You've seen everything. We've also got the Cathedral of Divine Wisdom. So you've seen everything here in the tech tree. You've seen the little blurb that they give you when we hover over the flag. Let's actually dive into a game and dissect this down a little bit. I like that they've got that play again skirmish button. So we'll add an AI player in. What color should this civilization be, the Macedonians? I feel like that should be orange. I also would say if the devs added in new colors, God, that would go so hard. If we could just get, was it Overbait? Remember Overbait on Reddit? He posted all of the colors like redone. Oh my God, that was so good. I will say right now, I would love to see them add more colors, but then also make it so colors are exclusive in the sense that if you've got orange, but then you've got an orange that's close to orange, and then your opponent can't pick that, just so that you don't have that issue with being able to read it, read colors. So let's get into it and start ourselves off. So do we have cheats enabled this game? Let me just quickly check in a jiffy. We do. Wonderful. Okay, so let's turn off the cheats just for now. And just talk about where I see the big synergy. So obviously I've talked about the big one, right? Like the idea is you're probably going to be going for the Grand Winery. You put it here, 2 tiles away from the town center. You're going to age up. Boom, wonderful. You're going to research professional scouts. You're going to bring all the deer back here. You're going to get a 30% bonus. Then you're going to research survival techniques. You're going to get a 45% bonus. You're just going to be cranking food like crazy. And you're going to be contesting all of the food on the map so easily. And where are you going to be putting all that food? Well, you're going to be putting that food into units, of course. We're going to be making units. And what better unit to make than, of course, the early Varangian Guard. So we can see its stats down here. Pretty decent stats. Not the best ranged armor, but still like pretty good and really, really good base armor. And then, of course, as you're gathering up gold, that silver number is going to be increasing. So you'll be dropping down your Varangian arsenal. Let's drop a couple houses down here just as well, just so we've got population space to play with. And maybe your opponent has, realized that what you're doing, and they've said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go into archers, okay, to try and counter these Varangian guards, because they're quite slow, 1.12. Even if they pop their berserking, they lose their armor, but they don't gain any, they gain attack, but they don't gain any, gain any movement speed. So what could we do? Well, we could look to get some armor. So we get 1 set of armor. Oh, this is range units. Excuse me. We should take that back. 1, 2. So now we've got +2 armor that will be coming through. Let's buy a new one. So now we've got 4 ranged armor. So already we're doing quite well here. Now on top of that, you could look to go into a really, I would say, an uncommon combo, which is a 4 ranged armor unit in the Dark Age, or in the Feudal Age, and that is the Horseman. So you could do the same thing for the Horseman. So a 4 armor unit. So very, very good against the Chinese here, because the Zhukanu can only do 5 damage. So these will do incredibly well against the Chinese. That matchup is going to be very fun. Oh gosh, I can't wait for it. These guys are 100% are going to be like the Chinese killers. I can tell you right now. That is definitely well, yeah. Anyway, let's keep on moving forward. So that's essentially it. So now you're gathering up gold here. You've got all your food. Probably dropping down a couple of Varangian strongholds in the early stages of the game. I think you can realistically pump out quite a bit. Whenever you're looking to transition into your castle age, it's going to be very easy for you to macro that, so you can get out your Varangian guards, contest your all of your different positions on the map as you're bringing your deer back, and then your age up's going to come through. But before that happens, let's take a look at this, and we'll see. Actually, let's allocate a few more villages out here just so that we can take a look at this numbers and what this looks like when it's fully built up. We'll also just build a couple of scouts as well, just so that we can have a little bit more vision on the map. I think I have done that correctly. Yeah, our scouts look pretty well spread right there. Lovely. Okay, so the first 4K, after it's mined out of the mining camp, keep in mind, like, we're getting silver every time that we do this, right? Like, we're gathering silver here. So when we drop off 10, if we take a look here, you will drop off 4 silver. So you're already getting a passive silver at 40% of, well, not passive, but I mean, technically it's passive, right? 40% of the base gather rate of gold. But on top of that, you're also dropping the Varangian arsenal, which is, you can see it's providing this bonus here to our mining camp, where it is now generating income. It's generating silver. That's 1,600 that's gone into here. So it's 12% is what it works out to be. So you're looking at about 200 silver every minute for a full gold vein. Now, of course, that's also going to be working for your mining camp. So here we're able to make sure that we are able to get that in influence as well. Now, another thing to note is if you were to go and exhaust a mine before you actually put the arsenal down, it's okay, because the mine itself is what is actually tracking the amount of resources that are deposited there. So if you forget, you can always come back and add it later. The only thing you would be missing out is that you didn't have that trickle the whole time when you could have had that whole trickle. Let's pick up all of these upgrades as well, just while we're doing it, just because, well, why not? Let's spend a little bit of our silver. We've spent about 4k, which is lovely. So here as an example, we are, you know, gathering up all of this gold, and we're receiving that gold from, or we're receiving that silver from the villagers, but we're not getting that passive gold coming in from the mining camp just yet. So once we drop down our Varangian arsenal, then we'll be able to do it. So eventually you'll be hitting the castle age. So let's, have we talked about everything that's important or relevant in this age? Oh, we've also got the Varangian Warcamp. We haven't really touched on that. So it says increases your maximum population. I'm curious. Does it act like a house? Hold on. When it says maximum population, it makes me feel like, it feels like they're talking about like the 200. Like, did I just... I can only make one of them, so I feel like it's probably going to allow us to go to 210 here. Well, let's wait and see. We're finding this out together, because that was an oversight. I oversaw that. I overlooked it. Let's go with that. Overlooked. Okay, we're at 160, 170. No, she's taking the long route here. Let's help her out here. 180, 190, and we'll throw one down right here. Boom. 210. When you word it like that, it increases your maximum population. What does a house do? It increases your maximum population as well. That's fair. All right, I'll accept your position, friend. Okay, so if we lose units, what's going to happen? So let's get ourselves out a few units here, because we've got the war camp. So we've got 55 Varangian guards. Let's turn off in a jiffy so we can see the true rate. And let's say that we want to reinforce with archers. Let's say the enemy has got a whole bunch of spears and they've killed all of our Varangian guards. Unlikely, but let's just say that is the case. So now we've got Varangian reinforcements on the way. You'll see that it takes a little bit of time, but it is going to pop them all out, and they're going to slowly make their way out and reinforce the position. And so for each one that you're looking to reinforce, it will give you different amounts. So as an example, the Radari, it only gives you 1 Radari when it's reinforcing. But here you can see we get the 2 Varangian guards. And if we go ahead and delete all of these, oh, because we don't have Jiffy on. It's okay. So we would also get, I think it's 3 of the spears as well. So let's go ahead and, oh, I think we've got it enabled. Yep, we do. Wonderful. So 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. Cool. So we got 3 of the spears. I will learn the correct pronunciation for all of this, because I got sick of... I personally got sick of people telling me that I was pronouncing things wrong. I can't even remember what it was. But if I saw the unit, I'd know. So let's move on to age 3. So we'll start off with the Assistant of the First Hill, just to talk about this. So we've got in a jiffy on. So you can see we start with 4 in the system, and then it's got a 90-second cooldown before it gets another charge. So what I suspect you're going to see players utilizing this for is, as soon as you've upgraded, you've got a whole bunch of, in this case, we'll say spearmen. And how long is it going to take to upgrade our spearmen? Well, this is 15 seconds. Let's call it. Let's say it's going to take a minute. Look at that. So it's going to take a minute for us to upgrade that. We'll just grab the charge. We'll put it on there. It'll give us a nice little splush. And now instead, it's going to be much faster. So it is a pretty decent size upgrade. What percentage? It doesn't say, does it? Oh, 150%. There you go. So 150%. And then, of course, you could look to combo that as well with your Varangian arsenal. So you've just come up to the next stage, and all of your archers, because we've got, well, the argument. Well, we're saying spears, right? So our spears are going to take a long time to get this upgrade. It's going to take a minute. So what do? We can come down here and we can sploosh right here, and then that's going to reduce it down to 20 seconds. So 8 really nice, or 24 seconds in this case. So once again, a really nice way to utilize this, at least like after you've aged up. I think that's going to be like the best use case for it, and especially because you're going to have multiple Varangian arsenals. I can really see a world like where their timing is just going to be the most insane, ridiculous timing. It's probably going to be a bit expensive when I think about it, right? Like, you're not going to be, are you really going to be spending 1,400 on this kind of upgrade in early castle? Probably not. But like you could probably get away with 1,000. That actually, is that a... Yeah, a Castle Age upgrade, like the first tier of Castle Age upgrade is 1,000, 1,100. Oh, they're different pricing, actually. The cavalry attack one is cheaper. There you go. Anyway, but yeah, you can have multiple upgrades going at the same time. Look, that's still got the buff on it. How long does that buff last for? Can we just take a quick look here? It's for 60 seconds. So that's quite a bit of time there. And of course, if you're getting pushed by someone, maybe there's enemy units pushing towards you, and you've got a whole bunch of units that you want to get out of the field, and they're taking too damn long, you can sploosh and give yourself a huge bonus there, and then all of a sudden you're reinforcing it at what, every 10 seconds. So it's like that. It's Imperial official. It really allows you that ability to just be flexible with it. But yeah, and then finally we've got the ability to put it on a mining camp, on a lumber camp, or on a farm to get food, wood, or gold. Of course, you'll be familiar with how that works. A lot of similar mechanics to that. The Yorishiro, as an example, is an example of that. So that is the Yorishiro? Yeah, Yorishiro is probably the best example. So once you've reached Castle Age, my suspicion on what you're going to see, I think the majority of like the value that you'll get here is probably going to be from armor, especially like melee armor, or just armor for melee units. I think is going to be really, really strong. So I'm gonna. That's where I'm putting all my eggs in the basket. 2,000 silver. It's a lot of silver. Just keep in mind the amount of silver that we got out of this whole entire gold vein is only 1,600. But have a look at that trickle that's coming in. Remember, it's about speed, right? Like, it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. So if we've gathered up this gold really early, let's say at the 10-minute mark, the entire gold, how are you going to spend all that gold? I don't know. Let's just say that we've done it. Then you're sitting on a trickle of basically 5 villager equivalent gathering of silver. We've got the same thing that's happening over here. So now all of a sudden we've got a trickle of 400 coming through. This one's also got 57 on it. So the more silver or more gold that you can gather and then do something with, the better it's going to be. So we just basically want to find ways that we can spend our gold. I think that's pretty much what this civilization is going to be about. I think there's going to be elements of obviously stone as well. Gets the bonus. It's not just gold. But trying to find ways to spend your gold is going to be the most important. So I think like Siege Workshop's definitely going to be on the cards. They've got a very good, like the amount that you have to spend in wood is very good comparatively to gold. The ratio is very good. The Varangian Guard's also pretty good, 90-40, not a bad split. And the Radari is obviously incredibly good, 130-110. So I do think cavalry is going to be quite important as well. But then, so we can see the upgrades here. So this is an Imperial Age upgrade, the Roman Fire. So unfortunately, you will have to go Imp for it. And speaking of Imp, if we... let's go on and dive up. We'll start with the Palatine School. And let's put on in a jiffy. And we'll turn off in a jiffy now that it's completed. And you'll see here. So yeah, it's 750 for 20. Or 750 for 20 seconds, and it's 3 of them. So as I said, like I think that when it comes to Imperial Age, like if we're looking here, it's 3,000 for +1 on your melee infantry specifically. I don't think that that's, like, the value is not that big. I think early game, like the +1, +2 is going to be massive. I think in the mid game, getting the +3 and even the +4 is going to be very big. But once you get to Imperial, I'm not going to be prioritizing this a huge amount. I don't think it's really going to be that impactful. But one thing that we didn't mention, though, is in those Castle Age fights, one of the ways that you should be or could be spending your gold is through monks. Because monks cost 150 gold. So one of the ways that you could be spending your gold is through getting a whole bunch of monks onto the field. Now, we're going to get the healing upgrade here for them. The Herbal Medicine will also get Piety, just so they've got a little bit more health. And then what we've got is we've got a unit... excuse me. We've got a unit that's got very high... base armor, and then we've given it +4 on top of that. So now we've got this unit that is very difficult to kill, and it's getting healed up by a lot of units. And that's where I kind of see the synergy here in this civilization, especially in the Castle Age, is very much going to be about getting the Varangian Guards out and like just absolutely dominating an opponent, and then just healing them up at the same time throughout the fight. You're probably going to have players focusing down your monks. But yeah, that will be my suspicion for how this goes. And once you get to the late game, I really do think you're just going to be like Elite Cataphract spamming out these bad boys. You don't even need a lot of upgrades, right? Just a couple of upgrades is going to be fine, and they synergize incredibly well with your armor, with your heals. There is a lot of really good synergies for this civilization, despite the fact that they are quite basic. Realistically, like there's not a huge amount of stuff that's like really out there. Especially when you compare it to like the Japanese variant, the Sengoku Dynasty, or Sengoku Daimyo, excuse me. So yeah, you'd just be looking to get the basic upgrades and yeah, and do it. So they've already got their upgrades. Now, one thing to note, this civilization does not have a university. So you won't be able to get things like biology. You won't be able to get your elite army tactics. You won't be able to upgrade your buildings and their like court architects. But of course, you can just get upgrades through here for buildings specifically. So an extra 10% health, and you can just stack that bad boy up. So now you got a really nice amount of extra health on your buildings. Town centers with 11,000 health. How much are we talking for a keep? Let's take a look and see. Keep is now at 8,000 health. So that's a pretty decent amount. Obviously not at the KT level, but still pretty good with that, or in that regard. Other than that, was there anything else that we wanted to talk about in this playthrough? Because we'll go through and do another playthrough where we look at the other wonders and just the way that they function. I don't think that's... I think that might be it. Oh, the last thing, of course. Let's take a look at these Springles. Let's get these bad boys out on the field. We can send them to the enemy base. It's probably going to take a little bit of time to get over there. Give me a second here. All right, we've made it to the enemy base. They haven't really got a lot of units here, but we're about to get our upgrade, Roman Fire. Let's go ahead and do that and watch as... What I find incredible about this is that the Springald spreads the fire from the initial target all the way with wherever it continues going. I don't know if it'll work here on this building, but let's give it a try. So you can see back there's a huge amount of fire. So my thinking is we're probably going to be making a lot of Springalds. It's very fun. We got ourselves not a whole lot of army here. The fire doesn't really do that much damage. You can see we've got a unit here that's able to heal through it. Like this religious unit's barely dying. Actually, I wouldn't say he's barely dying. He was definitely taking quite a bit of damage back here. And you can see we're just focusing down this at the moment. And, well, I think they were all Springalds that went through. So while it looks really bad to stand in, I don't think it's going to actually be that bad. Let's take a look here and see what damage we can do. And then we're just going to fire over here and just let the fire do the rest of the work. Actually, you can't because then... Okay, let's just turn around. So these guys, yeah, it's a very cool upgrade, and it's like, hand cannoneers just laughing at you. Maybe we don't make Springalds. Maybe we don't make Springalds. Anyway, look, you know what? They probably need to be set up for a little bit and have a bit of a prolonged siege. But anyway, let's dive over and take a look at the other landmarks and exactly how they work. All right, we're here in a brand new game. Let us go ahead and type in a jiffy, and we'll start off with our Imperial Hippodrome. So very similar to the, very similar to the Byzantine landmark, in that you can train your scout, you can train your horsemen, but as you will see right now, a tournament is happening. A champion's currently in tournament, and as I've said previously, it always starts off with the scout, at least in my experience. Then it will give you the horseman. Then it will give you the Radari after some time. So it looks like the first one comes out at about 40 seconds. So the scout is, it's a unit, we can say that much. It's really not that potent though. I think it starts off with 7 damage. So we can assume it probably gets some upgrades. So if you're going to play into this cavalry mindset, I mean, I suspect some people will be like, okay, let's go and we'll start with the Hippodrome and then we'll do scouts and we can do professional scouts with it. That could be a thing, but then it's like, why would you do that when you've got the Grand Winery that just absolutely demolishes that? So I'll just throw that out there. So increases the torch damage of nearby units by 35%, which is pretty cool, right? That's a lot. And if we think about like the type of like landmark snipe victories that we do often see players attempting, this could be quite a forward-thinking unit to make if you get into one of those games. And then the next one is going to happen. I think it's about 100 seconds, or probably even longer, 120 seconds. We've been talking for a while now. So the Hippodrome is in tournament, and then we'll get our horsemen out. So obviously, if you're aging up at like the 4-minute mark, that means at 4 minutes 20, you're going to be getting out your scout. And so just to see the stats on it, so it's 7 with plus 10 versus scout, plus 10 versus siege. It's got torch damage. And you know it gets plus 1 damage from this bad boy right here, or plus 2 in this case. So it's a thing, we can say that, but it's really not that scary. Of course, it can also be used as a form of, or like with professional scouts. There, it's got that going for it as well. But yeah, not a huge impact early on. The other thing to note is there's no unique upgrades within this, so you don't have access to like those really cool Byzantine villager killing upgrades that they get access to. Anyway, it's going to be a while. How long have we got? We've got another 40 seconds. Give me a moment here. I'll use the magic of editing. It's technically not editing. I just paused the recording and then we started again. We got 5 seconds to go. I left you guys out for like 30 seconds then. I just had a drink of my, I'm actually drinking cordial. I'll say that right now. And I'm sitting down for anyone wondering. So now we've got the Hippodrome Horseman that comes out. So he has quite a bit more attack. So 13 base attack, 13 versus ranged. And keep in mind, your standard horseman is 9. So it's quite a bit. And then it also gives a bonus, an increase of damage to nearby cavalry of +2. So this obviously works as well if we were to include your scout. So now your scout has got 5 damage because we've got that +2 that's coming through from the Varangian arsenal, and then we've got the +2 from here. So maybe scouts could be a viable thing. Who knows? 65. It seems pretty cheap. At the very least, like they're a good target. 110 health for 65. That's a lot, right? Like, and you can't ignore them even if they're doing 5 damage. I mean, if you've got a unit that's got armor, you're gonna laugh at them. It could be good against ranged units though. I guess there's that. But even if they've got +1, then you're only doing 4 damage. Anyway, it's definitely something to consider. The focus here would not be that the Hippodrome Horseman is buffing scouts. I think it's very much that it's buffing up horsemen. That is the focus. Now, does that increase with your age? That is a good question. We'll find out shortly. But before that, we need to crown a new champion. Give me a couple of minutes. Okay, and with 5 seconds left to go, we meet our next champion, who is going to be our champion, Ridari. And this guy, he's a bit of a monster, 280 health, 31 damage, and he's got himself a throwing axe. Now, he also provides a 15% movement speed to infantry, which I think is going to be the highlight for most people here, especially because the infantry is quite slow for for the Varangians, for the Macedonians. So if we're looking here, you're at 1.29 speed, with the buff, not without the buff, with the buff. 1.12. So yeah, it's I mean it's about standard when it comes to like a normal man at arms. Don't get me wrong. You can see all of these bonuses here, but one of the cool little ways that I was thinking that you could make this civilization like even cooler, or what I guess with the Hippodrome. Sorry, I'm thinking more meta. Apologies for not preparing my arguments here. If you open with the Hippodrome, I think one of the cool things that you could do is go into a whole bunch of archers. So if we take a look here, we've got, let's say, 6 archers, and they start off their base stats not that impressive, right? We've got a unit that's got 1.25 movement speed, but then all of a sudden we get these upgrades. So now you've got +2 damage that's come through, so they're up to 7 damage, and then you've got 1, 2, +2 armor that's come through, and then on top of that, you've also now got your extra movement speed. So you've got extra damage, extra armor, and you've got extra movement speed. Bro, I think there is no one that can challenge this unit in the Feudal Age when it comes to archer wars. I think that is incredibly powerful. On top of that, we've also got other ways that we can buff these up. We can get the Ruinous Blinding, which allows their arrows to... We can't see it on here, but it allows them the... Actually, is it here? No, it's not. This is even different, even more different, but allows them to reduce the damage of the opponent. So if you're having archer wars and you're firing at the enemy, then it's going to be reducing the damage that they're firing back at you. And when you've got 2 armor, that's going to make a big difference. And then finally, we've got the Unwavering Focus. Bogmower attacks ignore 2 armor, but move 50% slower for 10 seconds. So probably not the best thing, like definitely good at the very beginning, but the problem that you've got is if your opponent sees you pop this ability, so if we take a look at what that looks like, you can't tell the difference because we've got the Ridari that's right here. But if your opponent does see the glowing all of a sudden, and then you'll see it drop off, they'll probably just bait or like run away from you because they know that you basically got an extra point of damage. So they'll most likely do that, and you're obviously going to be a lot slower when you've got this this buff applied to you. But it's a super strong unit. I think that's one thing. Actually, there is something else that we haven't actually discussed yet, and that's runestones. So runestones. So you can carve a runestone to celebrate honorable victories in combat, enhancing Varangian ranged weapons by 1 tile, melee damage by 1, move speed by 15%, and it lasts 150 seconds. Give me a second here while I show you just how powerful these stats are. Okay, so we're back with a bit of an army, forcing the enemy to try and attack us. They built a wonder, so they don't want to come out. So we're going to try and do our best to invite them out and attack with what seems to be like a pretty reasonable amount of archers. Now, these are all Feudal Age units, and we'll show you exactly how this works. So as the units come out, you can see he's losing his TC, but he's still not taking it. So what we'll be doing, I want him to come out so we can kite, and I can just show you how silly it is. Let's see if we can bring these guys around. We'll attack his wonder. Maybe that'll make him want to attack us. But when we combo these with the runestones, because keep in mind we get the movement speed with the runestones as well as the extra range. So we can put a runestone down right here, and it builds instantly. So now we get that extra range. We're up to 6 tiles of range, and we're at 1.65 movement speed. Faster than his unit. So if we take a look here at this knight right here, this is 1.62 movement speed. So we're moving faster than these knights with this runestone down. Now, when we move away from the runestone, we're also going to be losing that bonus. But the good news is we can take this runestone, we can put it down over here. So now we've got 2 runestones, one over here, one here. And then we're allowed to kite. So it just allows us to keep diving away from the cavalry. Now, of course, when our group of units is very far away like that, they're all going to be bogged down. I think we want to try and keep them close together just so that we're able to effectively kite and stay within the AoE of that runestone. Because if we aren't within that AoE, or not the AoE of the runestone, rather the AoE of the Hippodrome Radari, but look how fast we're able to chase on the battlefield after the enemy. We're chasing down their cavalry right now. 1.65 movement speed. We're shooting at their cavalry because we've got that much movement speed. So that's part of the reason why I think this archer is going to be incredibly powerful when it comes to the feudal age. Because that's part of the reason why the Yumi Ashigaru is really, really good. Is because in the event that you're able to overmass your opponent, or outmass your opponent, you're able to catch them and destroy them. And that's part of the reason why if you're playing with longbows and you ever get outmassed, you just basically lose, because all of a sudden they're able to catch up and they're able to kill you, and that's pretty much it. You're done and dusted. So yeah, in the end, I think this is a pretty incredible unit, pretty powerful unit. Let's move on to the next wonder though, because, oh, sorry, next landmark though, excuse me. So next one, we've got the Golden Horn Tower. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this down. Now, Inner Jiffy is off, so this is going to take us a long time to build, so we'll go ahead and turn it back on. Excuse me. And we'll make sure that we turn Inner Jiffy off again. Otherwise, the crossbowman spam gets pretty crazy. So it takes 2 minutes for them to spawn 3. So not a bad amount, realistically. Not a bad amount of crossbows. And then we've also got the 32 crossbow damage, which is quite a bit. And it's an attack every 1.5. So basically think of it as a Chinese keep that also trains crossbows. So this is really good. It's obviously worse against units that have got higher armor, but still 32 damage is a lot of damage. So you're going to be going through pretty much everything with that. So I think this is absolutely reasonable if you're on the defense. Though arguably you could still look to go for the Cistern of the Hill, just because even if you're on the defense, then you can pop that and then immediately throw that into production or into upgrades or something like that, and then just, you know, get them out super duper fast. And then let's check in with our final landmark for today. It is the Foreign Engineering Company, which you'll be familiar with. This is pretty much identical in functionality, and just allows you to spend all of your silver on siege. So we'll turn off Inner Jiffy. The one difference here, now, I will just say, when it comes to this civilization, I do very much feel that their mining camps are a weak point. And that is because if we come out over here, as an example, into the middle, oh, we don't have Inner Jiffy on, that's awkward. If we come out here into the middle, and we gather up all of this gold, what is happening right there? So let's delete all these guys as well. We can actually turn this off so we don't keep making crossbowmen. So what will happen is we'll be gathering up. Now, the one in the middle is probably a bad example, because the one in the middle is arguably going to die, okay? But let's say it's this one over here. If you come over and mine this one, give me a second here while I do it. Okay, so we're gathering up the stone, and as we gather the stone, this is subsequently going into this total. Now, because we've got the Varangian arsenal nearby, what you'll see is that we are now generating a portion of this income as passive income. So the issue that you're going to have is that in the event later on in the game that you get raided and your enemy sees that you've got a mining camp that's just sitting here and there's a Varangian arsenal attached, they don't even need to think about the Varangian arsenal, because if they kill the mining camp, you lose all of this. You lose everything that you've done with this, which is part of the reason why. So just to emphasize that again, just to really make sure I'm driving it home, right? Like, when we drop off resources to this mining camp, these villagers are tallying up the amount of silver that is coming up over here. So we can see every single time they drop off silver, it's popping up on their heads, and every time that happens, this number is going up. And then later on in the game, or maybe straight away, what you'll do is you'll put down your Varangian arsenal, and then that is going to give you passive income off this number. So the trouble that you've got is that if this dies, then you lose that passive income. That's the issue. So I don't know how we're going to fix that as Varangian players. Varangian players, excuse me, Macedonian players. Not to say that I'm maining the civilization just yet. I still haven't decided. I was going to go with the Sengoku dynasty, but the more and more I played the Macedonians, the more I fell in love. I was like, I really see some strong, powerful strategies here that are like, I just feel semi-fast castle professional scouts is going to be incredibly unstoppable in the current meta with this civ. Yeah. Anyway, so what you can do. So you can see here that our Varangian arsenal is technically touching. So you look at this and you're like, okay, it has to be immediately adjacent to the unit. But you got to remember that the mining camp itself has also got a ring around it. So you can actually leave a nice little ring here. So if we were going to wall this in over here, this would be difficult, right? Because we could try and get a wall. See, you can't get the wall through there. So now I've got to wall the whole way around it. So technically you can do it. So if we just delete this wall here and we can delete the arsenal, that's fine. And then what we can do is we can, I think you want to put it tile. Excuse me. There's a way that you can do it where you can get the wall in, or you can just leave the spacing the same way that I've done right here. And then you can choose whether or not you'd like to go for this option, or if you can fit this option in as well. I don't know whether people are going to be resorting to it. It feels like a lot of resources to spend just for you to guarantee that you don't lose your mining camp. But at the end of the day, right, like if I see a mining camp and I've got 6 horsemen, I am coming for your mining camp immediately, bro. Like, I am not messing around if I'm playing against this civilization. I will absolutely burn every single mining camp. I wouldn't be surprised if we see players do this. Now, of course, there is the alternative, which is just palisade walls, a lot cheaper, however, a lot easier to break through if we can get it. I think it's going to be hard for us to do because we actually built a building nearby, so you don't get the perfect square. And then from there, if we take a look, you can see we should be able to, yeah, so here, this is allowing us to build it over on the edge, and then that will give us the influence. So I think this is another defensive option that you could take in these circumstances. And I don't think you'd be able to, I mean, maybe you could throw a torch over that, but there's a good chance you should be okay. But essentially, that's my solution to the problem that I'm also throwing out there. But I mean, obviously other people are going to find it pretty quickly, right? Like, you just focus down the mining camp. And if we delete this mining camp, right, and then we build another one in its place, well, let's delete the wall. We build another one in its place. It doesn't magically, oh, it does. It does. Oh my god, it magically just comes back? There's no way, dude. I didn't even test that, so I didn't even know. I was just like, hold on a minute. Wait, so you're telling me if you build it in the exact same... It kind of locks in that spot. Okay, it's like it draws me to the spot. That's very interesting. So they've thought about this. So if I just like build this here, it doesn't work. But if I build it there, doesn't work. It needs to be on the exact... Yeah, like, it doesn't let me go on this spot right here. It's like, it's forcing me. It's like, hey, no, you have to build it here. In which case, you then rebuild the... Bro, okay, never mind. We're fine. Okay, I guess we're not going after the mining camps. I think still you should probably go after the mining camps, right? Like, if you look at this one, this is making 115. Hold on, let's find... Did we do the big gold? I mean, this is the big gold one. So just to do the math on this right now, did we really only drop 3,080 here? Hold on, can I just calculate this? So it's an 8,000 gold vein divided by 100 times 40. Excuse me. Sorry, 100. Gosh, 8,000 divided by 100 times 40 is 3,200. So we're a little bit short. And then we're going to divide that by 100. And then we're going to times that by 12. And that's telling us it's going to be 384 silver per minute that's coming through from this. It's 384 silver. So is it worth targeting? Yeah, I think this is still worth targeting. Even if you know your opponent like is going to rebuild it, right? They'll rebuild it pretty quick. It's still just annoying. And maybe they forget to rebuild it. And you know, there's lots of other little factors, but yeah, you can see it's a huge amount of silver. This is a massive amount of silver that is coming in to your opponent's coffers. So definitely you want to be taking these out wherever you see them. But I guess the reality is that they will just very easily be able to rebuild it. Arguably, would you take these out instead of vills? Maybe you want to take vills out, because remember that with a villager, we've got 1 minute until one to defeat, by the way. We gotta wrap this up. Because a villager, it depends on the length of the game. I think you're always going to kill the mining camp. We're always going to kill the mining camp. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. We've learnt a lot along the way. As you can see, I still haven't found all the intricacies. We've only just found that one. And of course, if you've got any questions, leave them down below. And we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.